All right, good morning and welcome to day 2 of FBLI. My name is Joanne Walsh. I'm the Director of Individual Giving at GFN. As someone that spends the majority of their role telling the story of our food banking partners to donors and the broader community, it has just been an absolute inspiration to be able to connect and meet with so many of you. It's my pleasure to introduce our second Food Bank Impact series. Today's session will focus on how food banks are preparing for and responding to natural disasters. It is my pleasure to welcome to the stage to start this conversation, Hande Tibuk, President of TİDER Turkey.
Hello, good morning. First of all, I'd like to say that we are very happy to be here to tell you our story. And let me start by just a little introduction. Basic Needs Association TİDER was founded in 2010 and aims to prevent waste and reduce poverty. We are extensively working on building our network of food banks all throughout Turkey. Currently, we have 66 food banks in our network in 35 provinces across Turkey. We are a member of Global FoodBanking Network since 2017. And with our food banking work, we also provide an employment program for our beneficiaries because we believe that instead of giving out fish, we need to teach the beneficiaries how to fish. So this is a core important work with our program at TİDER, and we aim to help the beneficiaries to get jobs, to apply for jobs, and to get recruited so they can start to live on their own. We are also a founding member of Afet Platformu'nun. This is the Turkish name. I just wanted to write it like that because it kind of became like a brand, which is a disaster platform. It's a platform formed by more than 20 NGOs like TİDER, and we will get to that in a short time now with the detailed work of our emergency response to the earthquakes and natural disasters. So this is a picture of us from London in 2019. We just wanted to tell you again once more how grateful we are for the support of GFN. It has been really helpful with our normal work as well as our emergency response work that we are doing right now. This is a map of Turkey, and as you can see, the 35 provinces where 66 food banks in our network are located. This is the basic sustainable development goals that we are supporting with our work at TİDER, Food Banking Network. And this is just a small, the numbers for what we have to indicate what we have done so far with TİDER Food Banking Network. The total number of beneficiaries of TİDER Food Banking Network is like 900,000 people, and the number of people hired by our HR program is 119, which is, I think, is not a good big number, and we will be working much more to increase this. This is the active members. This is a list of active members of the NGOs under the disaster platform that work together to respond to the emergency relief efforts. So how was the platform founded? In 2020, when the earthquake hits Elazığ, which is a province in the east part of Turkey, the NGOs, as TİDER and other NGOs, we got together and we were, okay, we have to do something. What can we do? We all have resources. All these NGOs are working in different areas. You know, TİDER is working on food banking. Some are working on health issues. Some working on education. Some working with women. Some working with children or refugees. So different parts, different NGOs got together and they combined their resources in 2020 and they set up a warehouse in the disaster area to help the survivors. So we worked with the coordination of the local government and Chamber of Commerce. We set up a warehouse and we provided all the supplies that were needed to be distributed to the survivors in the disaster area. So we were working like in two groups. One group was in charge of funding and procurement and purchasing all the necessary supplies and sending it to the warehouse in the disaster area, and one team on the ground. They work in the warehouses with the help of hundreds of volunteers gathered together to sort out all the supplies that were sent, to put in boxes to be distributed to the surviving families. So after this experience, we decided that, okay, we will be a platform of NGOs who get together after a natural disaster and go to the disaster area and help the government agencies, help the surviving victims. Survivors, sorry. So as I said, some NGOs are focusing on humanitarian aid, some are focusing on volunteer organization, some are focusing on psychosocial support activities, because that's also very important. And in the disaster areas, they go and they start their support on psychosocial level for the survivors as well as for the help providers, because it is really challenging to be working in a disaster area mentally, psychologically, and physically. So our volunteers and our teams who are working on the ground also need psychosocial support, and our NGOs under this platform are providing that. So in summary, the NGOs with our diverse capabilities, we unite under one umbrella platform to give the best response that we can after a natural disaster. As you know, Turkey is exposed to natural disasters frequently, floods, wildfires, and earthquakes. But the latest earthquakes that hit southeast of Turkey was huge and catastrophic. I mean, there are no words to describe this. It impacted 10 provinces, 13 million people living in 10 provinces. And there was 2 huge earthquakes in just a very short time, and there were always another aftershocks, and there was another one again in Hatay in a very short time. So we did what we did before. We organized. As TİDER, we contacted our food banks in the impacted areas. We had 10 food banks in those cities, so we contacted them. Unfortunately, one did not answer, and it was Hatay. So we unfortunately lost the food bank in Hatay, but then we started to work with other food banks. They changed their system of working. You know, they became like a warehouse operation to help the survivors. So we started to procure and purchase, and we knew from past experiences that the basic and urgent needs that should be sent over there. So we started to send those things. Teams went on the ground to the field, starting to set up logistic centers and warehouses. And as you can see on the map, not only in the impacted areas, but also in the neighboring cities, we set up logistic centers, because it was difficult to send supplies from Istanbul to the impacted areas. It would take like 48 hours under of course, the weather conditions and, of course, all the road network. So we used Adana, Konya, Kayseri, you know, the neighboring cities also to procure all the necessary supplies. In the first 72 hours, of course, search and rescue operations were ongoing, so we needed to help the help providers to provide what they need. They need accommodation, they need sleeping bags, tents, they need sanitation and mobile toilets, because you can imagine it's a huge area, it's impacted, and there's no a decent place to sleep or, you know, to get your needs. So we were concentrating on supplying what is necessary for the help providers and our teams and our volunteers on the ground. And eventually we set up 5 centers of warehouses, as you can see on the map. And then, through our coordinations, we are always in touch with the people on the ground. and they tell us, they send us a list of necessities they need. And in the first weeks, it was difficult because everybody's trying to get tents and sleeping bags, containers. But then there was a shortage of some supplies, and you couldn't find a truck, to send the supplies. In the first week, it was really chaotic. But we managed to send anything and everything we could find. And this is as TİDER. TİDER has provided these supplies, mainly food supplies. Clean water was very important, clothing. And this is as of today. So we are still continuing to supply. This week, for example, TİDER volunteers are working in Istanbul to make 10,000 boxes of food and hygiene supplies, which will be sent to the 10 food banks that we have in the impacted areas. And Ramadan is coming. We will be supplying cooked meal for the Ramadan. We have sponsors and donors who wants to have, the soup. There are a lot of soup kitchens in the area as well. We are also supplying food supplies for the soup kitchens as well. So here are some pictures. This is the platform members. I don't know how many NGO representatives are in this picture, but it's our actual number of members is 20, but during this, it's like maybe 50 NGOs are working together. And whatever one NGO needs something, they ask and they provide. It's a good collaboration of NGO partnership. This is Hatay. This is Gaziantep, soup kitchen. This is Adıyaman, a food bank, our food bank in Adıyaman. Kahramanmaraş, which was the center of the earthquake. Now, as you can imagine, people are living in tents and containers. Some are living in their own homes. So they didn't want to leave their homes because, okay, it's intact, and they didn't want to leave their stuff. They were afraid of, losing their precious valuables, assets, whatever. So some people are living in their homes, but as you can imagine, life has not gone back to normal. So they cannot have access to supplies. They don't have a supermarket in the corner. I mean, they have the money to buy it, but they don't have the access. So we have to provide those survivors as well. There are little villages that nobody reached, but our platform, because we receive all the tips, they call us, they reach us. We are using Instagram and our website frequently, which is very good that people can reach us. And every request is checked, because there's also disinformation as well. And we have a hotline where they say, okay, there's this address, this person, they need this, can you help them? So we check and we try to provide what they need from our warehouses in these 5 locations. So what is next? Next, I mean, this will continue. This has to continue until they have their permanent homes. And there's still a lot of things to do. We will continue to supply these areas with food and hygiene supplies. With the soup kitchens, we are working with a chef who's working in the area, and they're providing 200,000 meals per day. We will be providing, these are the top priority needs that we have to continue to provide. And there's also a problem of migration. It's estimated that 5 million people migrated to other cities. So we will be helping the food banks in those cities as well. We have to do that. And we will be working on other projects. For example, we will build a new food bank in Hatay. We have to do that. I mean, we are working with our donors, supporters, that we will set up a new food bank and maybe operate it for a year or 2 and then hand it over to a local NGO. So thank you very much. And I just wanted to end my presentation with this. In the first days and weeks, we received huge amounts of donations in cash and in items and everything. But of course, as time goes by, people start to forget, and the donations start to decrease. So We really appreciate your support and everything. We have to continue with this work, with the donation and your support. Thank you very much.